While running from my biological father, I ended up on the same bus as a girl 3 times in a row. She thought I was following her and turned around with a smirk. All right, little guy, you've been tailing me long enough. If you want a shot at this, you better grab a number and wait your turn. But fair warning, I'm not into that scrawny chicken wing build of yours and I don't come cheap. Freeloaders need not apply. She grabbed her suitcase, swung those long legs off the seat and walked off the bus. My face went completely red, and I instinctively opened my mouth to explain. Then I remembered I couldn't speak. No time to be embarrassed, I just ran after her. One hand grabbing the back of her shirt, the other frantically typing, sweat already beading on the tip of my nose. I shoved my phone in front of Shen Youchu's face, my expression desperate. She glanced at me, and then looked down at the screen. I wasn't following you on purpose. We just happened to be going to the same place. My name is Pei Chuan, I'm here to find my grandma, her name is Chen Pingping. She used to be an elementary school teacher and lives at 52 Yangliu Lane, Furong Street, Danli Town. My phone has no data, and I don't know how to get there. Could you point me in the right direction? Just give me a general idea of where to go and I'll find it myself. I won't bother you after that, please. An awkward silence fell. Shen Youchu pressed her tongue against the inside of her cheek. Damn, narcissism really is a disease, even for someone as thick-skinned as her. This was a little embarrassing. The guy had just been heading the same way the whole time, and only wanted to ask for directions. But Shen Youchu straightened up. Those sharp dark eyes swept over me. You've lived this long and you still can't find your way around. And you call yourself someone's grandson? That grandma of yours really got the short end of the stick. I caught the sarcasm in her voice and understood she was calling me out for being a bad grandson. I couldn't argue with that. I just lowered my head. I thought about how my stepmother had torn our family apart and run my mom down with her car, and how the only reason my biological father kept me around was my heart, which happened to be a compatible match for Xu Wei, who had congenital heart disease. I had always been nothing but a spare heart to him. If I stayed, sooner or later I would die on an operating table. My only option was to slip away and find my grandma, the one family member I had left, and hope she would take me in. The thought made my nose sting, and the hand gripping the corner of Shen Youchu's shirt slowly loosened. Until I finally let go, Shen Youchu glanced at where I had been clutching her shirt, said nothing, picked up her suitcase and turned to leave. But after a few steps, she noticed it was completely quiet behind her. No footsteps, she turned back, expression dark, and saw me standing alone under the streetlight looking completely lost. Like the weight of the whole world had been dumped on my shoulders, helpless and on the verge of tears. Shen Youchu had never seen a guy this spineless in her life, she said with zero sympathy. If your legs aren't going to be any use, might as well cut them off, standing around like a lawn ornament. My head shot up, and across the distance I saw Shen Youchu turn back around with an impatient huff. The corner of my mouth curved just a little. I lifted my arm and swiped roughly at my eyes, then jogged over with red-rimmed eyes and fell into step behind her. She was a little harsh and her mouth was brutal. But when I was lost and scared and 1 second away from breaking down, she didn't walk away. 20 minutes later, we turned into a quieter side street. I looked up and saw the street sign under the dim yellow glow of a lamppost reading Yangliu Lane, and let out a long, shaky breath. Almost there. And then the anxiety came rushing back. When I see Grandma, what am I supposed to say? I can't speak. Will she think I'm being rude? If I type it out, will she even be able to read the words on the screen? What if Grandma still hasn't forgiven my mom and turns me away? Where would I even go? Sweat gathered on my forehead, rolled down my cheeks and dripped from my chin, falling one drop at a time onto the front of my t-shirt. Every nerve in my body was wound tight when I suddenly heard a bright shout. A girl in a cami top with bleached blonde hair burst out from the doorway of a tattoo shop, a chubby girl and a stick-thin one right behind her. They all looked about 17 or 18. Sis, you're finally back. You have no idea, this whole week you were gone. Customers showed up every single day wanting the most random designs. Especially those creeps trying to get your attention. Some of them came back multiple times a day. The blonde girl's eyes shifted mid-sentence and landed on me standing right behind Shen Youchu. Her eyes lit up instantly. No way, sis, did you bring us home a brother-in-law? He's way too fine, she didn't even finish the sentence. Before a hard smack landed on the back of her head, Shen Youchu used her height advantage and grabbed the blonde girl by the back of her neck with one hand, dragging her to the side. You talk too damn much, go stand in the corner, then landed a kick square on her backside. The stick-thin girl and the chubby one had also locked their eyes on me, both of them just staring blankly. I looked back at them nervously, my long fingers gripping my backpack straps, not daring to move. Shen Youchu gave all 3 of them a smack on the back of the head, then grabbed her suitcase and told me to bring it inside. The chubby girl caught it and stared straight at me with wide eyes, asking, Sis, are you recruiting this cute little guy for something sketchy? Shen Youchu's eyes dropped low, pitch black and razor sharp, the kind of look that made you feel small without her saying a word. That tongue's no use to you, might as well cut it off. The chubby girl's mouth snapped shut immediately. The skinny one was a little more careful and asked a much safer question. So how come he's following you back here? Shen Youchu glanced back at me standing about 3 feet away, a sly little grin on her face. Found him. Then turned and said in a lazy drawl, keep up. I nodded at the 3 girls, and jogged to catch up with Shen Youchu. She led me across the street, to the other side, stopping in front of a small fruit shop. She leaned in through the doorway and called out in the sweetest voice, Grandma, you in here. Someone's stealing your fruit. I had no idea what was going on. I tilted my head watching her back. She could actually pull off that sweet voice. All that attitude completely tucked away before long. An old woman's voice came from the back room of the shop, sharp and indignant. Which little punk thinks they can pull that mess in my store? She stopped mid-sentence and her voice instantly changed to pure delight. When did you get back? Why didn't you let Grandma know? It's so late. Have you eaten? Shen Youchu bent down and gave the tiny old woman a gentle hug. Not yet. Practically dying of hunger. I've been dreaming about your cooking every single day out there. The little old woman beamed. She took her hand and walked toward the back. Xiaopeng and the others just finished eating. There's enough left to fill you up. Shen Youchu held her hand back, eyes soft, smiling, and said, No rush, Grandma. I brought someone for you to meet. Take a look and decide if you want to take him in. Then she stepped aside, no longer blocking the doorway like a human wall. And I came face to face with the little old woman who still had no idea what was happening the moment I saw Grandma. Every ounce of fear from living in my father's house, every mile of that exhausting journey, and the image of my mother lying in a pool of blood. All hit me at once and my legs gave out. I dropped to my knees in front of Chen Pingping. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type, the screen kept getting wet. I'd wipe it dry, and before a second passed, it was wet again. I couldn't make a sound when I cried, just kept gasping for air. Tears and sweat all mixed together as I held the phone up to the little old woman with trembling hands, looking up at her with swollen eyes, begging her without words. Shen Pingping squinted through her reading glasses at the screen. There were only 3 words on it. "Grandma, please help me." 3 words, each one soaked in pain. The little old woman let out a broken sob and pulled me into her arms, crying without holding back. "Oh, my Lingling, why didn't you come home sooner?" The daughter she had raised for 20 years had spent 17 years suffering out there, and they never got to see each other one last time before she died. The standing fan kept spinning without a pause. The only sound in that tiny fruit shop was quiet, broken weeping. Shen Youchu leaned against the counter, pulled a lady's cigarette from her bag and lit it, taking a long, deep drag, and blowing it out hard, like she was exhaling something heavy that had been sitting in her chest. Her gaze drifted down to the back of my neck where it was exposed, my spine clearly visible. Something shifted in the corner of her eye, and her throat felt oddly tight. A kid this gentle and quiet, who could bring themselves to hurt him. Had she been too rough on him just now? Not just rough, but kind of out of line too. Shen Youchu reached up and scratched the back of her head. If she had known, she would have toned it down. Any other guy would have been fine, but this one just had to be Grandma Chen's grandson. And he literally lives right across the street. They were going to be seeing each other every single day. Shen Youchu stubbed out the cigarette and walked over to the little old woman's side. Bent down and helped her up. "Grandma, the floor's cold. Let's get you up. This kid's been on the road all day. Let him go wash up first." She turned and looked at me, catching my red, puffy, tear-filled eyes at exactly the same moment. Crying this hard, even the tip of your nose has gone red. Something in her throat tightened. Something in her chest went soft. Her warm, steady hand closed around my twig-thin arm and pulled me up. "Get off the floor." The moment her fingers wrapped around my arm, a small crease formed between her brows. The arm in her hand was too thin, heartbreakingly thin. Like it might snap with a little too much pressure, Shen Youchu had the most random thought. "A sweet kid like this needs to be fattened up. Chuan Chuan, don't be scared. You'll stay with Grandma from now on." Those wrinkled hands squeezed mine tight, the aged voice still thick with tears. "Wherever Grandma is, that's your home." I followed Grandma down the hall, watching her hunched shoulders through blurry eyes. I nodded as hard as I could once we headed upstairs. The 3 girls downstairs looked over at Shen Youchu. The skinny one asked, "Sis, did you find Grandma a helper or something?" The 3 of them had only just arrived. They had missed everything. All they saw was Shen Youchu show up with someone, and that person follow Grandma upstairs. Shen Youchu's sharp gaze swept over each of them. Grandma's grandson, lost for years. All 3 of them reacted the exact same way, eyes wide, mouths wide open. Then Shen Youchu's eyes landed on the 3 of them, cool and flat. Her tone dead serious. "Don't any of you give him a hard time." She turned to the blonde girl, thick dark brows pulling together, and said flatly, "Chen Li, did you throw your shirt to the ghosts? Want me to make a trip to the underworld to get it back for you?" The blonde girl blinked in confusion. The chubby one poked her in the side, and whispered, "Told you to stop walking around in that cami top." The skinny one chimed in, bad influence with a guy around. The blonde girl looked completely lost. She had practically lived in that thing all summer. And now one new person shows up and she loses the right to dress herself. She wanted to put up a fight. But one look at Shen Youchu's sharp, unwavering expression, and she folded completely. "My bad. I'll go put something on." After Shen Youchu came back 3 years ago from her service, she opened a tattoo shop. Business had been solid ever since. This recent trip to Yancheng was for a 5-figure job. These 3 girls under her had barely scraped through high school. And before she came along, they were known around town as the local troublemakers. But after Shen Youchu got hold of them, they fell in line like kittens, and now they were picking up tattooing well enough to make something of it. Enough to support themselves one day. As for what Shen Youchu did before she came back, almost nobody in town knew. But because she had served in the military, people around here generally knew better than to mess with her. Voices drifted down from upstairs. Along with the sounds of doors opening and closing, Shen Youchu stood listening, a thoughtful look on her face. She glanced over at the blonde girl, who felt the weight of that stare, and immediately broke out in goosebumps, and started pleading, "I swear I'm sorry. I'm going to go put on a jacket right now from now on if I ever wear a cami again. You can shove my head down to my stomach, go borrow a couple outfits from your boyfriend." Her voice was cool and her face was blank, but every word she said carried that edge that made people just naturally listen. Though that particular request did come out a little strange, the blonde girl muttered quietly, "Sis, I really don't do men's clothes." Shen Youchu casually lifted one long leg and kicked the blonde girl in the shin like I'd even want to see that. Give me a break. The skinny one and the chubby one were shaking with silent laughter beside her. The blonde girl was genuinely puzzled. "Didn't you just say to wear men's clothes, so what's the problem?" Before she finished the thought, her eyes went wide. She looked up toward the stairs and immediately got it. "Give me 10 minutes. She took off laughing, calling back over her shoulder, "Sis, your mind is something else. You even thought about the kid having nothing to change into. I only realized I had no clean clothes after I finished showering." Grandma had walked me to the bathroom and then stepped away to handle something else. I couldn't call out to her and I had no voice to use. So I just stood there in the bathroom with no idea what to do. I was debating whether to put the dirty clothes back on when a knock came at the bathroom door. Grandma's voice, roughened from all the crying, came through the door. "Chuan Chuan, honey, Grandma left some clothes on the chair for you. They belong to Chen Li's boyfriend. They might be a little big on you. Just make do for tonight. Grandma will take you shopping tomorrow." I cracked the door open just enough and took the clothes from Grandma's hands. When I opened the bag, I found a pair of boxers tucked inside featuring little dinosaurs on them. A sticky note was stuck to the packaging. Written in bold, forceful strokes were 2 lines. Brand new, washed and dried, my face went completely red. Something about those 2 lines made me feel like they were written by the same sharp hand as the handwriting. My bed had already been made up by Grandma, and since there was no air conditioning, she had laid a bamboo mat on top. When I walked in, I saw Grandma sitting on the edge of the bed, her back to me, holding a framed photo, crying quietly all by herself. The moment she sensed me come in, Chen Pingping quickly set the frame down, wiped her face with the back of her hand and turned to me with a smile. "All done, Chuan Chuan?" I nodded and looked at Grandma's red-rimmed eyes. Feeling my own nose start to sting. "You've been riding all day, you must be exhausted. Come get some sleep, we can talk in the morning." She pointed to the neatly folded clothes on the bed. Those are from the kid Shen Yochu sent Chen Li. To borrow from her boyfriend for you, just wear them for now. Grandma kept going with her instructions, and I stepped forward and quietly wrapped my arms around her. This woman whose shoulders had grown slightly hunched, nearing 60 years old, holding on to her grief of losing her daughter and fussing over a grandchild she was meeting for the very first time. The room went quiet, and a long while later, the little old woman finally let herself cry, soft broken sobs escaping her. How could I have been so cruel back then, even if people talked behind my back? I should have brought her home, all those years if I just picked up the phone one more time. It wouldn't have ended this way. She wouldn't have died without us ever seeing each other again. No parent should outlive their child, and she couldn't even see her off. She didn't even know where her own daughter was buried. I rubbed slow circles on Grandma's back, offering what comfort I could without words. I looked up through blurred vision and saw a photo on the desk of Grandma and my mom when she was young. Not just the desk, the walls and the wardrobe were covered in things my mom had left behind. This had been my mother's room once I got Grandma settled, and was just about to lie down. I glanced through the window above the desk and caught a light flickering on in the second floor of the building across the street. I didn't think much of it at first, but before I had even closed my eyes for 2 seconds, I snapped them back open. Wasn't the building directly across the street Shen Yochu's tattoo shop, which meant the second floor would be? As if to confirm exactly what I was thinking, the floor-to-ceiling window on the second floor balcony across the way swung open, and a woman in a silky slip dress stepped out from inside, even with an entire street between us. The moonlight made every curve of her figure impossible to ignore. I thought about the little note tucked inside the boxers and suddenly felt like the shorts themselves were on fire. I shot straight up from the bed, face burning red, walked quickly to the desk and yanked the curtains shut as tight as they would go. Across the street, Shen Yochu was focused on hanging up laundry, then something in her peripheral vision moved. Her sharp instincts kicked in, and she turned her head toward the gap in the curtain that hadn't quite closed, and caught a glimpse of that absurdly pretty face of mine. The cigarette pinched between her fingers slipped loose, and dropped to the ground with a soft tap.